So, hello everyone. Myself, Dr. Rupal Snekun sir have already introduced me, so I'm not going into more details regarding the same. Let me concentrate on today's topic so that you get the idea what exactly is the topic, and I have also done implementation of the same topic. So I'll set more focus onto that. Um, just wanted to make you understand that what exactly is SVM, that is support vector machine, and where that word came from. Machine learning, you might have learned about this term machine learning. That is a growing technology where our computers are learning automatically from the past trained data, right? So machines are learning from their experiences. You're training machines to do multiple tasks. So what exactly is done in machine learning? So when you are into machine learning, your data is being provided and the data is being loaded and multiple machine learning algorithms are being applied. You are training your data set, you are checking the accuracy of your trained data. Already trained data will be your main data, wherein the accuracy will be supported, and based upon that the machines will be taking decisions in coming future. So this trained data will be accurate. The trained data should have millions of data sets, at least thousands of data sets, right? So that your accuracy is maintained. And if further the machine is been given a test data, it will compare those test data with the trained data and give us the prediction and analytics that you should do this thing, whether the weather will be this thing, or whether you should go out at this moment or not, whether you should buy the car or you should not buy the car. So based upon the trained data, machine will be teaching you in the coming future. So machine learning, supervised learning, unsupervised learning, reinforcement, right? So you can see this broad diagram which focus that machine learning has one of the part that is supervised learning, and supervised learning has support vector machine, right? So what exactly now is support vector machine? Focusing on these two diagrams, you can see over here that supervised learning means you have a trained data, means you will be teaching machine what to do, what not to do, and in future machine will be taking decision. In unsupervised learning, you have machine will be learning from their own experiences by own self. So now we can concentrate like support vector machine will be supervised learning, wherein we will be providing it a trained data set, right? So what exactly happens in support vector machine? So support vector machine, what it does, it gives us the prediction in categorized values. Categorized values means 0, 1, or true, false, yes, no, like that, right? So what is the theory behind the same? How it exactly gives the analysis like 0 or 1 or yes or no? So how it does the things, right? So for example, what are the applications of the same? Like if you have received some email, the email is spam, or is it a not spam email, means it is a general specific email, or else you can save it that whether I should purchase this item or I should not purchase this item, right? So these are all the applications of support vector machine, right? So what exactly support vector machine does in this? So it has a feature space. Let me take you to the example directly so that you get to the understanding about SVM working. So you might be seeing the screen on the right side, right? That is what you are able to see different dots that are blue color, green color. These are all different data sets, right? So data sets, and this is your feature space. The whole chart which is been plotted, that is your feature space, and you have data sets. Few of the data sets are lied left side, few of the data sets are lied on the right side. So what exactly SVM does? SVM uh, put on the plane, hyperplane, in the middle position of this different data sets, right? That you can draw multiple lines differentiating different data sets. So what is hyperplane? Hyperplane is the best line, optimal line that you can draw between different data sets. Now the rules for drawing such kind of plane line is that near that line there should be a maximal margin of data sets, means data sets should not be near to that particular line, right? So the data points or vectors that are closest to the hyperplane, that are known as support vectors, they are supporting the SVM to take particular decisions, right? So you can see this diagram, it is plotting linear SVM, wherein you can draw two of the hyperplanes. One hyperplane is been plotted with the red line. One of the hyperplane is which is plotted with the green line. So these are the two optimal lines which SVM can use in linear SVM, that is support vector machine. Linear SVM means we are able to draw a line very easily. There can be a scenarios where data points are spreaded all around. So that is non-linear SVM. We will not be able to draw a particular line between different data points, right? So this is linear SVM, where we'll be able to plot the differentiation between two data sets very easily, right? This is linear SVM. You can see support vectors which are near to the hyperplane. Hyperplane is the slanting line, a best line. There can be multiple lines, but the best line can be hyperplane, right? Non-linear, you can see your data sets are being spreaded all around, right? So what we need to do, we need to convert this into 3D plane. We will be converting this into 3D plane, right? We will be adding more one coordinate, that is Z, and we will be plotting, then converting the 3D into 2D, that is linear SVM. Non-linear will be converted into linear SVM. Then hyperplanes can be drawn and the data sets will be able to organize into the one category or else another category, right? So this is the scenario. You can see the data points are being jumbled, that is converted into 3D plane. Then it is being converted again into 2D plane, you can see, and then we are able to easily draw the hyperplane. Hyperplane A, B, C, you can see there are three hyperplanes you can draw, and the best one is B hyperplane, which is able to distribute star in comparison to the ball that are been plotted with red colors, right? Going more ahead, I am going to focus on the practical implementation of SVM, right? The practical you can see the practical implementation. What exactly you'll be doing in practical implementation? You'll be having your data sets. You can take a data sets from different repository also. You'll be pre-processing. I have also done my pre-processing, trained my data sets, also test my data sets with the new data set, and then evaluate my model, right? So what exactly I have done, you can see over here. So you can see I have done the implementation in Python pandas. You can see I have used multiple libraries over here. I have used pandas for data analytics. I have used matplotlib for plotting the libraries, numpy for array processing. I have used sklearn for using SVM. SVM will be, I mean, for supervised learning, non-supervised learning, I will be using sklearn. Now you can see this is my data set. You can easily take different data sets, direct data sets from Kaggle or various of the websites which are freely, the data sets are freely available. I have 683 total records in my data set, right? The data set can be easily read. The CSV can be easily read. You can see pd dot read underscore CSV, and my CSV has been read. I will be further processing. I have one of the field called class, where my benign value, the class has the value 2 or 4 or like that, and my benign value is 2 and my malignant value is 4. This data set is plotting me whether the patient is having disease that is benign or malignant. So you can see further, this is my plotting of my data sets. You can see this data sets are being spreaded all around. This is my array plotting of my data sets. This is my train set. You can see above train and test set. I have already trained my model. I have splitted my data sets into 40-60 ratio. Now my evaluation of my training set. The evaluation of my training set can be done based upon confusion matrix or various parameters like F1 score of the parameters like recall, precision, etc. So I have used all of the parameters. So this is my confusion matrix, which shows you the benign plotting 85.5, malignant 0.47. Right, the accuracy of my trained data set is 96.39%. These are the various applications of SVM. SVM can be implemented in emotion analytics. It can be implemented in sentimental analytics, error detection, weather forecasting, stock market, speech recognition, customer segmentation, fraud detection, cyber security, etc. So this was my implementation for SVM. Sir, I have already completed it.
Thank you, ma'am. Thanks for your wonderful talk and addressing the gathering. With the session, I would like to call upon the participants to share your presentation accordingly and restrict it for maximum of 8 to 10 minutes. Right? We have now 12 participants. Right? I would like to call upon the first participant, Dr. Pelin. Ma'am, can you share your screen? We can go ahead and with the presentation.
Yes. Now you can see my presentation.
Yes.
Okay. First of all, hi everyone. I am an associate professor at the University, Medipol University. I'm from Turkey. So my other co-author is Osman Yıldırım, is from ARSSS University. and then Sevcan is same as Olha, and she is from Ukraine and International Finance University. Kamal is from Jordan, Isra University. So our topic is the meditating role of leader-member exchange between work engagement and turnover intention. Yes. The aim of this study, these business managers want employees to work to achieve business goals. However, organizational variables are considered in cases where not all employees are able to work at the same level to achieve business goals. For this research, work engagement, intention to leave, and leader-member interaction were considered. The aim of this study is to explore the meditating role of the leader-member exchange between work engagement and turnover intention. To achieve this aim, a research questionnaire was applied to 511 bank employee participants, and the hypotheses were tested by analysts 500 value questionnaire data with structural equation modeling using SPSS AMOS program. The research questionnaire consists of the Utrecht Work Engagement Scale, the leader-member interaction scale, and the turnover intention scale. It is understood that professional respect variable has a full meditation role in the effect of work engagement variable on turnover. A full meditation role was determined in the effect of the contribution variable and work engagement variable on turnover variable. A full meditation role has emerged in the effect of the loyalty variable and the work engagement variable on the turnover variable. According to the result of the research, no significant relationship was found between the level of the work engagement and the intention to leave. However, the other research hypotheses have been confirmed. The fact that the employees are passionate about working shows that they are willing to contribute more to the organization they are in. And therefore, the intention to leave the job of employees with this motivation decreases. The high level of work passions of the employees causes them to feel more loyalty to the organization or their managers. This reduced their intention to quit their job. The concept of work engagement has been brought into positive organizational behavior by positive psychology. Positive psychology focuses on the happiness and well-being of the individuals. It highlights the positive characteristic of the individual. In the other words, positive psychology is concerned with living an enjoyable, full and meaningful life. In the literature, passion for work emerges as a three-dimensional concept. These are vitality, devotion, and focus. Vivacity constitutes the behavioral dimension of work engagement. Dedication constitutes the emotional dimension, and focus constitutes the cognitive dimension. Employees are in constant contact with their managers, whom they expect to be supportive in their work. The approach and behavior of the leaders to their subordinates also directs the attitudes and behaviors of their followers and the way they work. In this sense, the relation between the leader and his subordinates and the way the leader approaches his followers are a critical research that has a value in the organizational. The relationship between the leader and the employee not only affects these two, but also affects the organizational output and results. In the context of job demands and job research approach leader-member exchange, it can be considered as a kind of research for employees, especially in personnel with low job security. The need for support and research that can be obtained from the supervisor increase. With an effective communication, the managers supporting their subordinates more, approaching them with tolerance and giving them freedom, rewarding them more and giving them the task that everyone desires. It can provide gains such as authority, responsibility, information sharing, wage increase, larger office, career development, support, and improvement. In turn, for the material moral benefits offered the members of the group, employees are more closely attached to the organization. When the interaction quality is low, employees' belonging decrease, and their tendency to quit their job increases. During the 1980s, Green and colleagues defined leader-member interaction as the quality of the exchange between leader and subordinate with various sub-dimensions. According to DNS and Leiden, leader-member exchange should not be confined to one dimension, but should be evaluated as multi-dimensional. But it's also very important to decide what the dimensions will be. For example, Leiden and Marcia add the professional respect dimension to the structure that DNS and Leiden considered as three-dimensional: perceived contribution, loyalty, and influence. In our research, the four-dimensional approach proposed by Leiden and Marcia was used. Contribution, it is the perception of the quality, direction, and quantity of work-oriented activities that each member plays beyond common goals. The subordinate of the two fulfills the responsibilities required according to the job description and employment contract. In turn, superiors provide the necessary resource and opportunities for these activities. Loyalty, it is the expression of general support for the personal characteristics and goals of the pairs in leader-member exchange. This dimension includes loyalty that continues considered under all circumstances. Effect. The effect between the two is based on interpersonal interaction rather than business or professional's value. Such an effect occurs when a relationship is desired or occurs. These relationships have rewarding elements and outcomes. Studies examining the relationship between leader-member interaction and work engagement have been found in the literature in these studies, and there is a significant and positive correlation between leader and member interaction and work engagement. There appears to be correlation in studies examines the relationship between leader-member exchange and turnover intention. A significant and negative correlation was found. The aim of the research is to examine the role of the leader-member exchange in the effect of bank employees' work engagement on their intention to leave. After the literature review, the research model shown in figure 1 was developed and hypotheses related to the model were developed. You can see our research model and then our hypothesis. Hypothesis 1, the level of professional respect of the employee plays a mediating role in the relationship between work engagement and intention to leave. Hypothesis 2, the level of contribution of the employee plays a mediating role in the relationship between work engagement and intention to leave. Hypothesis 3, the level of the influence of the employee plays a mediating role in the relationship between work engagement and intention to leave. Hypothesis 4, the employee's level of the loyalty plays a mediating role in the relationship between work engagement and intention to leave. 500, by the way, I said before, 511 bank employee participants were reached for the survey conducted in May and June, between May and June this year. As a result of the examination, 11 questionnaires were excluded from the analysis due to their low level of response. The number of the participation in all analyses was determined as 500. So you can see the percentage distribution table of the socio-demographic characteristic of the participants. You can see it here. And analysis and results, the answer obtained from the questionnaires applied, and we can use SPSS and AMOS program. After that, we can, I told you, we can use the scales for these things. And reliable of scales in the study, a short version of the 17-item scale developed by Shipney et al. which was reduced to 9 items, was used to measure work engagement. The expression in the scale were translated into Turkish by Tülay Turgut. The scale is structured as a Likert scale. And in order to measure turnover intention in the research, Kemen et al. A one-dimensional scale consisting of 3 statements was used. The scale was translated into Turkish by Mimaroğlu. The scale is structured the same as well. Confirmatory factor analysis, we can do combined reliability values are calculated from the factor loadings, calculated from the confirmative factor analysis. When we combine the reliability values, it can be said that the combined reliability condition is met. The indicator of convergent validity is the explained mean variance. The mean variance explained is requires to confirm convergent validity. In order for the factors to have discriminating validity in CFA model, the condition for correlation values in the same columns must be met. You can see the reliability and validity values of the scales used in the research. And then PATS analysis of the structural equation model. You can see meditator model PATS analyze with the observer. Direct and indirect effects values between independent, dependents, and meditator variables. And hypothesis 1, the direct effect of the work engagement variable on the turnover variable is insignificant, and the indirect effect on the professional respect variable from the leader member exchange scale subdimension, it is opposite and significant. Accordingly, it is understood that the professional respect variable has a full meditation role in the effect of the work engagement variable on the turnover variable. While the work engagement variable does not affect the turnover variable directly, it causes it to decrease by having an indirect effect throughout the professional respect variables. Hypothesis 2, the direct effect of the work engagement variable on the turnover variable is insignificant, and the indirect effect on the contribution variable is opposite and significant. Accordingly, it is understood that the contribution variable has a full meditating role in the effect of the work engagement variable on the turnover variable. While the work engagement variable does not directly affect the turnover variable, it's reduced it by having indirect effect on the contribution variable by affecting it in the opposite direction. Hypothesis 3, the direct effect of the work engagement variables on the turnover variable in signification, and the indirect effect on the effect variable. One of the leader member exchange subdimensions is meaningless. Accordingly, it is understood that the effect variable does not play a meditating role in the effect of the work engagement variable on the turnover variable. The last hypothesis 4, the direct effect of the work engagement variable on the turnover variable is insignificant, and the indirect effect on the loyalty variable is opposite and significant. Accordingly, it is understood that the loyalty variable has a full meditating role in the effect of the work engagement variable on the turnover variable. While the work engagement variable does not directly affect the turnover variable, it reduces it by having an indirect effect on the loyalty variable by affecting in the opposite direction. Conclusions. According to the result of the research, no significant relation was found between the level of the work engagement and intention to leave. However, when the leader member exchange dimension and the meditation relation were examined, significant relations were observed in some dimension. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Dr. Panel, for a wonderful presentation. Indumati, can you present? Who would like to go next? Pranita Yonzon. Pranita Yonzon, can you present now?
If available, I can present.
Okay. Yeah, Dr. Rabia, would you like to go ahead next?
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, please. Others, please be ready. Make your presentation ready. Right? Don't make us to call again and again.
Okay, can you see my presentation?
Yes, we can see your presentation. Please go ahead.
Okay, I'm Dr. Rabia Aydibe from Turkey, from Medipol University. Today, I'm going to present you investigation of the effects of Vincomyn on diabetes-related testicular dysfunction. These are my working team. Thanks for everyone. Diabetes mellitus is identified by hyperglycemia induced by a deficiency of insulin secretion or activity. It causes a variety of systemic abnormalities, including kidney impairments, neuropathies, some reproductive or cardiovascular disease. The vast majority of diabetics are infertile or sub-infertile as a result of some testicular problems, reduction in libido, ejaculation problems, erection problems, spermatogenesis issues. So it showed that serum testosterone levels are impaired as well as testicular and epididymal structural abnormalities in experimental diabetes models. Sorry for the voice, I have my daughter. Decreased insulin production alters spermatogenesis by altering blood levels of FSH and LH in diabetic rats. So we try to understand that how we can improve these models. So Vincomyn is my molecule. It's monoterpene indole alkaloid that extracted from Catharanthus roseus. Vincomyn has effects such as anticoagulants, memory and changer, neurotropic, hypoglycemic, hypolipidemic, and vasodilator. Vincomyn has been shown to improve. Vincomyn has been shown to improve brain metabolism by affecting ATP production and glucose and oxygen utilization, and increase short-term defense against hypoxia and ischemia. In light of this study carried out to investigate whether the Vincomyn may have a beneficial effect on relief testicular injury in alloxan diabetic rats, as well as whether inflammation, oxidative stress, and apoptosis could have played a role in process. So, in this research, we aim to prove the positive role of Vincomyn on testosterone levels, to prove Vincomyn improve sperm motility and semen volume, and to compare the effects of between Vincomyn and clomifan on diabetic-induced rats. To exhibit histopathological evaluation, the positive role of Vincomyn on sperm cells. To investigate the effects of Vincomyn, so it is really important that testicular dysfunction for infertility, sperm parameters, and Claudin 11 expression. These are what we investigated. I'm going to explain one by one. Animals and experimental design, approved by the Istanbul Medipol University Ethics Committee. We used 40 rats. So rats were unsystematically separated into 5 groups. These are our 5 groups. The first group untreated healthy, the second one untreated diabetics group, the third one and the fourth one Vincomyn treated groups, and the fifth one is the diabetic groups, which one treated with clomifan. So after the rats were diagnosed with diabetes, Vincomyn was administered once daily for 14 days. In here, we can see our application, intraperitoneal injection. Fasting blood glucose were assayed in all rats after 12-hour fast with free access to water with alloxan monohydrate, dissolved in sterile saline sodium. And we can see this picture. We measure every day from the tail vein, fasting blood glucose levels. And after that, following the last dose, the animals were fasted overnight and sacrificed under anesthesia. Their blood was collected and centrifuged. The testosterone content in the blood was determined using an ELISA kit. And as we show that, we checked from the tail vein. For the sperm concentration and motility analysis, to isolate and clean the epididymis, we can see from here, the adipose tissue around the epididymis was excised. The caudal portion was excised and placed in thyroid buffer preheated to 37 degrees before use and examined under microscope. So we can measure sperm motility and concentration for the compare between the groups. Results were expressed in million on milliliters using the sum of the ABC motility. So we rate them about some parameters and criteria. Each testis was removed after sacrification. So we can see here, each testis for rats. And we placed in boiling solution for stability. Tissue samples were then dehydrated using ethanol, alcohol, xylan in paraffin. We made some section 5 micrometer with using a microtome. So we can take a picture on microscope from these blocks. And after that, we made our statistical analysis with GrabPath prism. So if we check the results, we can see that first we can check the glucose results. If we compare with control and diabetes mellitus group, we can see that clomiphene doesn't affect on the fasting glucose levels. But if we compare the healthy group with the sick diabetic groups, which one treatment with vancomycin, 2 different doses, we can see that it is effective and it is effective dose independent. And the other one is serum testosterone levels, that if we compare control group, diabetic group, and the clomiphene group, we can see that the group which one we treated with clomiphene has shown that it is meaningful testosterone levels high. And if we compare diabetic group with the vancomycin group, we can see that vancomycin be effective diabetes mellitus, dose independent. So the last one, we took some picture from the microscope and we scored them. And its name is on histopathology, Johnson scoring. Johnson scoring and histopathological evaluation, we can show that figure 3. We took all pictures from Claudin 11s, from the seminiferous epithelium, from the localization, from the morphology similar. So we compared them and we made some parameters scoring. So if you have the most score, yes, your treatment is well. So if we compare with control group, control healthy group, that we can see that the most effective dose is 40 milligram on kilogram group. So that's all. We took good results and we try to make this research more detailed, and we will make another some research for this. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Rabia, for your wonderful presentation. We'll keep in touch. Please share your details out here in the chat box. And a very good topic indeed, which I have worked on. So, yeah, we will like to collaborate and understand how to take ahead with this concepts by integrating the engineering concepts, data analytics, and many other things where you can integrate out here in this research what you have done, because there are many researchers are also going on in the similar field, right? So which may be collaborated and can be taken up. So that's the thing. So thank you for your wonderful presentation. We'll now go ahead with the next presentation. Dr. Anantraj sir, you can share your presentation.
Good morning, everybody. Sir, I am audible?
Yes, sir, you're audible. It is visible, sir. Please go ahead, sir.
Myself, Dr. C. Anandraj, Assistant Professor in Statistics Department, Kanjima Munivar Government Institute for Postgrad Studies and Research, Pondicherry, India. My topic is stochastic analysis and forecast of GDP in Indian economy and neighboring countries. GDP is the most commonly used measure as economic activity of every country, and we know the definition from the Bureau of Economic Analysis. Gross domestic product (GDP) is the value of the goods and service produced by the nation's economy less the value of the goods and service used up in production. And I'm concentrating only 5 different countries, India, and compared with the other countries, near neighborhood countries, China, Pakistan, Bangladesh, and Sri Lanka. India is the largest democracy in the world, and it has the largest economy, especially this 6th largest economy by nominal GDP in the all over the world, and also it is the 3rd largest purchasing power parity among the world. Similarly, in China has a very big market-oriented economy that incorporates economic planning through industrial policies and strategic 5-year plans, and it dominated by state-owned enterprises and mixed ownership enterprises. The economy also consists of a large domestic private sectors and openness to foreign business in systems, and it has $15.97 trillion in 2020 as a GDP, and it is growing compared to other 4 countries. China has the largest greater GDP, and we go for Pakistan. Pakistan economy is the 18th largest in terms of purchasing power parity, and the 35th largest in terms of nominal gross domestic product. GDP is the 35th largest among the world. And Sri Lanka, the free market economy of Sri Lanka was what 84 GDP 2019, and $billion. Bangladesh good, they are maintaining very good economy till date, even though some COVID situations, they are maintaining a good GDP, and it was 42nd largest world nominal terms GDP, and 30th largest compared to all other countries. And I just compare these 5 different countries. For that, I'm collecting the secondary data from the website, starting from the year 1972 to 2020. Regarding the GDP growth rate, per capita income, population rate of 5 different countries. I'm focusing about average annual GDP growth rates, per capita income, annual population rates, growth rates for the 5 different countries, and to predict the GDP growth rates, per capita income for the next decade, so 2021 to 2030. And also I'm checking whether is there any difference among the countries and the GDP. These are the main objectives. In addition to this, I just checked whether is there any changes in the GDP by implementing the GST among the different countries. And also just to compare the 4 or 5 different countries which has is there any difference? These are all very closer neighborhood countries. Is there any difference among the countries in the GDP growth rates? So these are all my main objectives. So when we go for time series analysis and forecasting, for India, I have this type of graph. When you go through this diagram, it is gradually increasing. And when you look at this graph, and some of the years, like in 1980, 1990, and 2000 and 2010. So in these years, there is a hike in the GDP growth rate. And similarly, 1978, 1979, and 1992, and 2008. And when you come to 2020, is a common for all the countries. The growth rate is declining. So when we compare this, in 2020, it is nearly declined GDP when we already reached the same type of decline for the year 1980. The same type of behavior can be found through this graph. So similarly, when we focusing on China GDP growth rate, we cannot find any particular up or down. It is like a random, completely random. But in India, it is looks like a gradual increasing GDP rate. So when we predict forecasting the future decade 2021 to 2030, the upper and lower control limits is almost the same, and the growth of GDP is a straight line. But in China, it has up downs, random nature of fluctuation in the GDP growth rate. So when we go for the future prediction, the confidence interval is a little more compared to India. And the Pakistan, the GDP growth rate is highly fluctuating. In this, is completely random and decreasing in nature. And because of the high randomness, when you predict the future GDP growth rate, the length of the interval is more. And Sri Lanka, when we compare Sri Lanka, the highest GDP is nearly 0.75, and nowadays it is facing so many problems because of this complete randomness of the GDP growth rate. When you predict this for the next decade, the confidence interval is highly increasing in nature, wider confidence interval. So which means there is no reliability of estimating the future GDP growth rate. It is because of the complete randomness. We cannot find any pattern in this GDP growth. But when we see the Bangladesh GDP growth rate, it is gradually increasing, and the fluctuation is very, very negligible. So it is almost close to the straight line. So when we predict in the future, it is the confidence interval is very less, and it is gradually increasing in nature. And at the time of 2019, during the COVID-19, the other countries faced some high declination in the GDP, but the Bangladesh is not is up to the level, and it is recovered in the future. It will be recovered. And when we compare overall GDP growth rate among the 5 different countries, the Bangladesh GDP is growing in nature, and gradually it started grow from 1970. I just take from 1970 onwards, so that when we see this graph, it is gradually increasing to the till date. But whereas from the other countries except China, China is having increasing in nature of GDP growth rate. But when we see the Sri Lanka, it is declining after 2016 onwards. This is actually I'm very particular in after 2000. The blue line is GDP is not much more different. The other four countries are almost the same for the year 2001 to 2010. Whereas when you go for 2011, all the countries GDP growth rate is declining. But there is a small difference in the declination. When we see that Indian GDP growth rate, it is highly declined compared to when Sri Lanka facing so many problems nowadays. But the Sri Lanka GDP is lesser, it's not affected that much compared to India. But Indian GDP is very lesser than the Sri Lankan GDP. So this can be found from this graph. And when I go for checking the changes in the GDP before and after GST, and of course in all the countries the GDP is significantly different based on the t-test. There is a highly significant difference in the GDP growth rate before and after the implementation of GST. And when we compare the GDP growth rate among the different countries, 5 different countries, definitely there exists a significant difference among the different countries. Even though it may be because of the China's higher GDP. When we see the graph, the rest of the four different countries, India, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, are looks like a very closer GDP. But in China has higher GDP, but there exists a significant difference in the significantly different in the GDP growth rate. So these are all my any queries?
Thank you, sir, for your wonderful presentation.